brings up a couple of important points we're going to segue on. And first of all, what's important to understand is what's been dumped, or what Trump has signed to release, is actually just a small percentage of the total amount that came through the 1992 JFK Act, or the Records Collection Act. So that's we're not seeing everything, and there's still a lot that's there even on the government side. So that's the first thing. The other thing is this gets to the core of the JFK debate. You've got the who and the how. Who pulled the trigger? How was he killed? Was it 2 shooters, 3 shooters, 1 shooter? But then you have another question, which is the why. The why and the motivation behind it. And that, to me, personally, is the most fascinating one. And I think we have quite a bit of evidence in this dump that inadvertently or not points to the why, to the motivation behind this. Now, I'm going to share this clip with you. This is from a C-SPAN clip from a few years ago. This is Martin Sandler. He is the author of Letters to JFK. He's talking about some of the things that he discovered in his book back then that absolutely corroborates the evidence that we found in these files as well, that many of them, by the way, have already been accessible. So these aren't all classified documents that Trump has signed to release. But anyway, listen very closely to this clip.
There's a very surprising series of letters between Kennedy and David Ben-Gurion, not only the premier of Israel, but the founder of Israel, in which they're very angry letters, in which Kennedy is saying to Ben-Gurion, I'm killing myself trying to get a nuclear test ban treaty. I've even got de Gaulle on board, and that's impossible. And you keep testing in Dimona. You've got to stop. And Ben-Gurion, thank you, in so many words says, it's easy for you to say sitting in Hyannisport. I'm sitting with the Arabs all around me, and you want me to give up nuclear testing. And Kennedy threatens him. And he threatens him in such a way that Ben-Gurion resigns. And I will tell you that I found articles, not in any crackpot publications, but in very sophisticated publications saying, forget Lyndon Johnson, forget the CIA, forget Fidel Castro. The Mossad killed Kennedy because they were so upset over what he did to Ben-Gurion.
No, that's quite something, Mike. So right after David Ben-Gurion, Prime Minister of Israel, resigned, very soon after, John F. Kennedy was murdered. Okay, so the timeline of that is quite compelling. Now, let's go up and look at some of the evidence that has surfaced, and also just people's comment on it. This is Anya Parampil here. She's an excellent journalist, and what she's saying here is quite striking. When JFK's mistress, Mary Pinchot Meyer, was murdered in 1964, and it goes on to point to this WikiLeaks. And WikiLeaks has been going through these documents as well. James Jesus Angleton, top CIA officer, working almost exclusively for and on behalf of the state of Israel. And that's what we find in here, Israeli Intelligence Service. So, and again, these are pinned on my timeline, so you can go to @21wire and see some of these documents. But this is one of many mentions of Israeli intelligence in context of the John F. Kennedy assassination. So this was a thing at the time, and it does pop up. And there are obviously other documents that we aren't going to have privy to on this, and that's just for starters. We'll go on here. Here's another one. Take a closer look here at this particular document here. And this is an interesting letter, Mike. This is about the Chicago mob. And a lot of people aren't aware that Kennedy, he was meant to visit Chicago, but that trip was canceled, likely, possibly because of security threats. There may have been a chatter about a possible attempt on his life through the mob, okay? And they say, quote here, we now have plenty of money and our new backers are Jews, meaning Israelis probably, and as soon as, quote, we or they take care of Kennedy. So it's right there in print. So that's the mafia talking, basically. And these were cables basically disseminating that information. So this is highly interesting. And here's more. Other mentions here of Israeli intelligence. And we'll bring in another document here. And so the story gets very interesting at this point. And you can kind of see that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. between the United States, the Soviet Union, and Israel. Okay, because Khrushchev at the time, you have to remember, wasn't particularly massively pro-Israel, but was also trying to work with Kennedy on this nuclear test ban treaty. So, and Israel was holding it up, basically. So that's quite another interesting one. Here's another file worth looking at here. Unredacted Church Committee exposes CIA's secret role in atomic weapons transfer, arming Israel with nuclear technology against JFK's wishes here. The unredacted files reveal that Mr. James Jesus Angleton from the CIA confirms that atomic technology or knowledge was transferred to Israel. And again, you have to go through a lot of these documents to try to parse out what you're looking for here. But this is really the piece de la resistance. Mike, if there's any further questions, what do we have here? James Jesus Angleton from the CIA and the head of Mossad Global Operations, Mayor Emmett, in 1966, posing in a kind of dubious cowboy outfit there. I'm not sure what that was all about. But suffice to say, Mike, that Angleton they had a forest named after him in Israel after he died. He was almost given somewhat of a posthumous state funeral, not unlike another super spy, Robert Maxwell. So, Jesus Angleton was a Gentile. He wasn't Jewish like Maxwell. So this is very odd. Now, so there's a great documentary film. We're going to play a clip. It's called NUMEC. It's by Ryan Dawson, an independent documentary film. And this is just a very small snippet, Mike, but let's go ahead and listen carefully here.
Despite the well-established and well-known precedents of Zionist smuggling and stealing boatloads of armaments from the United States, and the indisputable evidence of Israeli intelligence agents regularly meeting with Zalman Shapiro in Pennsylvania, a dedicated and committed Zionist with ties to the Israeli government, as well as hundreds of kilos of highly enriched uranium being reported missing from NUMEC and unaccounted for, the highest out of every commercial plant in the United States, and Israel having a covert nuclear program, which they lie about at every turn, undermine inspections of, and the very suspicious samples at Dimona of highly enriched uranium that was measured with scientific certainty, which the Israelis by themselves could not develop. The notion that highly enriched uranium was diverted from the United States to Israel was challenged.
So the evidence of this is overwhelming, and we'll put up on screen here. This is the documentary film that we showed you this clip from. It's called NUMEC. It's about this nuclear facility in Pennsylvania, but also the bigger plot of the Israeli secret nuclear weapons program. And to this day, it's undeclared. So they're completely exempt from any international inspections or anything like that. But you can watch that film on Rumble for free. It is a fantastic, very well-researched piece, and I have it on very good authority from veterans within the intelligence services, Mike, in America, that the data and the information in NUMEC, this film, is solid. Okay, so this isn't, we're not in the realm of conspiracy theory here. We're into the realm of conspiracy fact. And the case overwhelmingly points, and I think it will be increasingly so, that there is a very high probability that the motivation, doesn't matter who pulled the trigger, whether it was the Italian mob, the Jewish mafia, or the CIA, or some Cuban stooges, okay, what was really behind that, the motivation to get rid of JFK, ultimately is coming from the Israeli interests. Okay, he also wanted Israel to register with FARA as a foreign agent for the lobby, IPAC, at the time. And of course, that all went away after Kennedy was killed, and no more talk about the nuclear weapons program. And oh, by the way, Lyndon Baines Johnson, the president that assumed control of the White House after Kennedy was killed, was involved looking the other way with the USS Liberty incident during the Six-Day War, when Israel attacked and almost nearly sunk, but killed over, 40-odd U.S. sailors in cold blood during the Six-Day War, and then denied it, basically. And to this day, they still don't want to acknowledge really what happened that day. So again, a lot of behavior changes in policy happened after Kennedy was killed. And again, that's a circumstantial case that I think you can build. Certainly, it's very strong, whodunit sort of narrative here that I think will get more and more interesting as time goes by.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that. But 60,000 documents to be trawled through. This is just taking the lid off the first few that have been seen so far. So plenty more to see, I'm quite sure.
There's enough out there. I think if you connect the dots now, a lot of things will make more sense. So, and again, that might be an inadvertent or intentional. Who knows? I'm not saying it's 5D chess by Trump, but now there's a lot of people visibly panicking. The fact that people are talking about this now, supporters of Israel. So I'm just saying it's very interesting to observe the different reactions to this information.
Okay, let's move on then. And if you like what the UK Column does, you'd like to support us, support.ukcolumn.org is the place to go. And you can make a donation there if you would like. You can join as a member, which gives you access to various benefits. For example, UK Column News Extra, which will be running straight after this news program. Pick something up at the shop if you can, because that helps us greatly as well. And if you are needing some health supplements, the link on that page will take you to clive.carl.com. We do get a small percentage of anything you buy there. So thanks to Clive for that. But if you can't do any of that, that's absolutely fine. But please do share the material that you find on the UK Column website. We need your support with this because, of course, we are absolutely subject to the censorship regime, which we're going to come on to in just a second. Another reminder of the UK Column on Location event happening on Saturday, the 5th of April, 2025 in Cheltenham. Catherine Gunn, Alex Thompson, Patrick here, and Raja Mia will be speaking at that. Brian Garish will be speaking at that. There'll be a Q&A with the UK Column team. It's going to be a fantastic event. Very few tickets left for that, but if you can come along to it, please do. And the interview with Chris Burgard, yesterday at 1 p.m. went out. That is now on the UK Column website. So Brian is speaking to Chris Burgard, who was present at Capitol Hill on January the 6th. So if you haven't seen that interview, have a look at it on the UK Column website. Now, let's move on then.